Dana K. White. I am the author of Decluttering at the Speed of Life and How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind. And I am doing a question and answer. If I keep going with videos, which I have been, I'm really proud of myself, I will be, my plan is to do one of these probably once a month, just to kind of go over some of the questions that you guys have that come up throughout the month. So a couple of things. One of the questions was, what about decluttering clothes in the midst of a pandemic? There were other questions about this. I've actually had this question quite a bit in other contexts all the way for the last year because donating things is a little more difficult at this time. It depends on where you are. Some places things are completely shut down and you can't, like nobody's picking up donations. You're not able to take and drop things off. So let's just talk about this in general. A lot of places have opened up to the point where you are able to donate things. Some people, one of the concerns I had was, what about donating my really nice stuff when donation places are so completely overwhelmed if they are open, because a lot of people have been donating, that they're concerned that their stuff is going to, go into a landfill. So here's my answer on that. First of all, I just want to say, if donating and then what happens to your stuff later is your concern, I know it's hard. And I'm just going to tell you that I had to come to a point where I said, I view a place that takes my donations as a service, okay? Meaning they are providing me with a huge service in giving me a place to let things go. If they are dumping stuff, they're gonna keep the nicest stuff, okay? They're gonna keep the stuff that they know from lots of experience that people are actually going to look for and take. But despite all of that, I personally had to just let it go and say, I've got to get stuff out of my house. If you are overwhelmed in your home, a lot of times the reason for that comes from this desire to do the very best thing, to make sure that things get to the very best place, to people who will appreciate them and use them. I get that. That was me too. I had to let that go in order to be able to get stuff out of my house, okay? Here's the good news on that. Once you have decluttered down to your clutter threshold, which we're gonna be talking about, you're gonna be able to handle your house, handle your stuff better, and at that point, you'll be more capable of doing the very best thing with things that you want to do. But the problem is, if you are completely idealistic, which is me, okay, that's what I had to really fight against. If you have this idealistic idea of wanting to do the best thing, it can be paralyzing. Meaning, like, there's all these different very best things I want to do. I don't actually have the time or the emotional energy or the capability to do all of that because there's so much stuff that I just get paralyzed and it stays in my house. And that's not okay, okay? But what if you are in a place where things are completely shut down and you can't donate? Well, you're online, you're watching this video, so there's a decent chance that you're on social media. I don't recommend trying to sell things. You can if you actually do that, but giving things away on Facebook Marketplace or wherever, just offering things for free in groups, like, hey, here's an entire wardrobe of winter clothes for an 8-year-old girl. Here, just give the whole thing away. One of the things that I had feedback during our Take Your House Back course, which is not open right now, but will open again in a few months. One of the things that somebody shared was they are in an area where things are literally locked down. They can't go to a thrift store. They can't go to yard sales or whatever they call them where they are. And because people are giving away things as they declutter, then she's able, on an income that is severely impacted by the reality of this pandemic, her income has been cut significantly, and she's able to have the clothes that she needs for her kids because of people giving things away. So kind of think of it along those lines of, yes, you may not be able to donate to a thrift store, but also think about the people who would be normally shopping at that thrift store because that's what they need to do in their financial situation. And then you can kind of just go ahead and give that stuff away, okay? But what if you literally cannot get rid of your stuff? There is no way to get rid of it. Well, here's the thing. My decluttering strategy is all based on final decisions. So one of the key things is we use a donatable donate box, meaning this box itself is going to go to the thrift store, the donation center inside of this box, and I'm never gonna look through it again. So like, I know that if I put something in my donate box, it's done. I never have to think about it again. This is not ideal. We're not living in an ideal time right now, okay? So you're gonna have to let go of some of the idealistic, I wish it was this way kind of thinking. And instead, just realize that putting stuff in a donate box, even if that donate box is in your garage or in the corner of your apartment or whatever, and it frustrates you, at least those decisions have been made, okay? And you know that as soon as a place is available for you to get rid of stuff, you're gonna be able to just take it there without having to then go, okay, now that places are open, I've gotta start decluttering. No, you've already decluttered. It's done, it's over. You're never gonna look through that box again because you knew when you put it in the donatable donate box that you were never going to look at it or think about it again, okay? All right, another question. Somebody asked, which of my books should you read first? It doesn't matter, okay? They're not sequels or whatever, but they are complementary. So here's how I would say it. If you are wanting to declutter, which we all are, right? Okay, if you're watching this, of course you want to declutter. Decluttering at the speed of life is all about decluttering and goes deep, 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 deep into every space in your home, every relationship in your life where you might be helping someone declutter. Talks about grief and the reality of getting rid of stuff and how hard that is for a lot of us. That one is all about decluttering. How to manage your home without losing your mind is for the person who is completely overwhelmed in your home. Like, seriously, how is it that other people seem to, I can, walk into their house, not these days, but I can walk into their house and it looks perfectly fine. And my house is constantly a disaster. I don't know what they're doing that I'm not doing. That's how to manage your home without losing your mind, okay? On the video where I decluttered that tall, flat surface above my microwave, okay, a couple weeks ago, some of the questions on that were, why did you not take everything down off of that surface, put it on an easier to get to surface, and then sort through it? Now, obviously, if you have physical issues where you can't, now I wasn't technically on a ladder, it was on a step stool thing that had like a nice little surface for me to stand on, so I felt much safer than a ladder. But that is actually the key to my decluttering strategy, is to not ever pull everything out of a space or remove everything from a space. That is how you end up with a bigger mess when you're trying to declutter. If you've ever heard people say, which they say it all the time, well, it has to get worse before it gets better, or, like you have to make a bigger mess in order to actually make progress. That is not true. It is absolutely not true, okay? And the way that it's not true is that I take one item at a time out of a space and I make a final decision and I act on that decision. So that's what I'm doing in there. I don't pull everything down, because here's the thing. If I pull everything off of that flat surface, then all that stuff is now on my kitchen counter and I have a bigger mess when, not if, I get distracted, or when, not if, I have to stop in the middle. Now, all that stuff that was up there, not pretty, but out of the way, it's now on my kitchen counter and I'm worse off than I was before. And that was my biggest frustration with decluttering. It was the thing that I thought had to happen, which made me put off decluttering until I was like, well, I've got plenty of time to, I'm gonna have to wait until I know for sure that I'm not gonna have any distractions. So I gotta wait until, my kids have graduated from high school or whatever. That's where my brain went. So instead, in order for me to declutter without ever making a bigger mess, I take one item at a time, make a final decision. It also means that if I take 3 items down from there, which I could do without being on a ladder, If I take 3 items down, I act on those 3 items and then my distraction happens, because it does, that space is 3 items better than it was before, okay? Which means I have successfully decluttered. I haven't finished, but I have been successful decluttering because there's less than there was before. Does that make sense? I hope it does. There's lots more words in my books and in my podcasts and all that kind of stuff on that. So it's all about that. Think of it this way. I know I saw it on Oprah, so it's got to be true. When I was younger, that, like if you're being kidnapped, like you've got to fight to never go to the second location. Like go ahead and put all your fight out. If you're a kidnapping expert, you can correct me, but this is the way I think of it. But it's like never go to the second location. The bad things happen in the second location. Go ahead and put all of your fight out in that first location to keep from going to the second location. It's the same way with decluttering. If you move everything to another space that you probably move it there because it's clear, well, now it's not clear anymore. Okay, and you've moved it to a second location, that's where bad things are gonna happen. So never move it to a second location. That's how you declutter without making a bigger mess, which is my big strategy, because that allows me to declutter in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, whatever. I'm gonna make progress, and only progress, never a bigger mess. 2 things. First of all, here was a good question, was why did I not get rid of the tacks when, not tacks, they're brads. Remember the hairy brads? Why did I not get rid of those when I didn't know that I had them? Okay, now here's the thing. My first decluttering question is, where would I look for this first? And I had an answer because it was an office supply. I could take it there right now and put it in that space. But their question was more like, why did you keep those? Why, and the word that was mentioned in the comment was minimalism, because they are a minimalist, and so they can't understand why I would keep something like that. I just want to be clear, I am not a minimalist, okay? I actually am sure that I don't fully understand what it means to be a minimalist, because that's not my goal. Like, my goal is to reach my clutter threshold, okay? This is what I mean by my clutter threshold. The point at which I only have in my home what I personally can keep under control easily. You have a clutter threshold. Everyone has a clutter threshold. It's the point at which you only have as much stuff in your house as you can personally keep under control easily. So my goal is not to analyze whether I absolutely have to have something. My goal is for things to have a home, which that had a home. I know my dogs are in the background today. Anyway, but that had a home in the office supply drawer. Here's the thing. If I had taken that to the space where I would look for it first, if I needed brads, if I had taken it there and there wasn't room for it, then I would apply the container concept, which is part of my decluttering strategy, my decluttering process. I would apply the container concept and I would say, okay, this isn't gonna fit in this space where I would look for it first. So what can I get rid of that's either easy, trash, whatever, that will create the space that I need for this to go there? And then my brain will either go, oh, well, obviously that's trash, or that's something that, whatever, it's duh, I can get rid of that. And I'm gonna take it back to the space I was decluttering anyway, because I've got my trash bag and my donate box there. And then I'll create space for those brads, or I will go, there's nothing in here that I'm willing to get rid of to make space for these brads. These need to go. Here's the thing. Just like my brain, if I ask myself the question how I feel about something, if I might ever need it, my brain can go out into the future and go, all the reasons why I might possibly need this or how I feel about it. And so it just is like this endless analysis that can happen. And that's why I declutter the way that I do, with yes and no, instinct-based, fact-based questions that don't depend on my emotions or analyzing, because I love analyzing and I'd rather do that than declutter. And so I can just keep going and going and going with that. In my mind, now take it from me, I'm saying this as someone who is not a minimalist, okay? In my mind, if I start saying, okay, well, should I get rid of this? I could go the same way in the other direction of analysis. Instead, I just go by, where would I look for this first? Take it there right now. And if there's no space for it, I remove something to make space, or I determine that it doesn't deserve space as much as the stuff that's already in there. Okay, that's all very fact. Easy answers, no emotion or analysis needed. Now here's the thing, if I had said, where would I look for this first? And my answer was, blah, 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 I don't know, because, you know, I didn't have a place for it. Then I would ask myself the question, if I was looking for this item, would it ever occur to me that I already had one? And I'm only asking that if I couldn't answer and apply the first question, where would I look for this first? At that point, then I would have to be honest and say, okay, I would never have gone looking for it. If I needed Brad's, I would never have gone looking for it, and I would have gone out and bought some more, or I would have like taken twisty ties and somehow, you know, made things go together. I don't know, but I would have made do, or I would have bought more, and that would mean I would have, you know, if I bought more, I'd have double things of something in my house. But as it was, when I asked, where would I look for this first? My answer was, well, if I needed Brad's, I would go look in the office drawer and see if we had any. Okay, so that's where they are. Make sense? Okay, and then here is one that I'm a little bit like, how are y'all gonna take this? Why did I not get rid of the white bowl? Here's the thing. If it was a bowl that we as a family stashed stuff in, absolutely, I would have gotten rid of it, because then that would just eliminate that spot for that to happen. But it's not us who puts things in there. It's my cleaner. That's where she puts things. She puts little bitty things that she runs across as she's cleaning every other week. And that's where she puts them. And then when my kids say, where's my such and such? I say, did you look in the white bowl? So that's where those things go. So that's the purpose of that white bowl. I feel the need to make sure I clarify a little bit. If you're going, oh my word, this person who talks about cleaning has a cleaner. Oh my word, yes, I do. I have posts about it. I have, I think, 3 different podcasts about the reality of what it takes to be ready to have someone come in and clean. Because I used to be, so for 7 years of doing this thing that I've been doing for almost 12 years now, crazy, right? For 7 years, up until the time that, you know, after I completely finished How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind, I did not have anyone come and clean, but it was my dream. It was the thing that I wanted to happen. The reality was, once this started to take full-time hours, I decided that it was worth the money for me to hire someone to clean. I'm not gonna go into all of this because, like I said, I have at least 3 30-minute podcasts where I talk through the realities of it. All I wanna say is, it's not as magical. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love it, but it's not magic. Like a lot of people like me back when, I would think, well, if I had somebody to clean for me, all of this would be easy. The reality is, it forces me to have all of my daily stuff, all of my regular picking up, my dishes, everything completely and totally done, the whole house picked up every other week, so that she can come in, because all she does is do a deep clean of the kitchen, dust, vacuum, clean bathrooms, okay? So all of that stuff that you do before that, like I don't want her, I mean, if I never did my dishes, she would spend the entire time that she's here doing dishes. That would not be worth it, okay? Doing dishes is not cleaning the house, okay? That's a daily thing. So keeping all those daily things done and having my house decluttered, because she can't deal with all random stuff everywhere, okay? You can't clean when there's clutter everywhere. So I had to get my house decluttered, and I had to have my daily habits under control in order for her to come. But like I said, yes, I feel like it keeps me on track so much more. If you can't do it, you can't do it. But if you can do it and you have some weird hang up about, oh, I shouldn't have to do that. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm just here to tell you it's worth the money. And, you know, people need jobs. And so there you go. All right. So that is what she puts things in. So I'm pretty proud of the fact that that bowl that had been there for like what? I don't think I'd cleaned it out in probably 6 months, okay? Like gone through and actually completely emptied it out. That's as much out of place little stuff as she finds over the course of 6 months. That's a big, big improvement over what my house used to be like.